town of Mount Carmel. We're going to start with just introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about, just give us your name and a little bit about yourself, and then we will jump into the questions. We've got 5 questions that were presented in the newspaper article, and so all of our candidates will answer those questions. They'll have also an opportunity to answer questions from the comments section on Facebook Live. We'll monitor those and get to those after everyone's had an opportunity to answer the 5. So we'll start with Teresa and just work our way around. If you want to just introduce yourself and say a little bit about you.
I'm Teresa Mogg. I live in Ponderosa subdivision, and I currently work for Hawkins County Gas. I'm sure quite a few people have seen me.
Good evening. My name is Gary Traylor, and I've retired here from Florida, and I also live in Ponderosa.
My name is Jim Bayer. I'm 45 years old, and I live on Independence.
Okay, so we'll just jump into the questions, and I'm going to start with Teresa, and then I'll move around and I'll ask you the question. You just give me your response. The first question is, what made you decide to seek this office?
I'm currently serving as an alderman, and I would like to be re-elected for the next 4 years.
Okay, and we'll move to Jim Bayer. What made you decide to seek this office?
I don't think the citizens of Mount Carmel is being heard at board meetings, and I want to make their voices heard.
Okay, and Gary Traylor. What made you decide to seek this office?
Well, thank you. My wife Karen and I retired to Mount Carmel from Florida. As I said, we absolutely love this community and the warm and friendly people that work and live here. And it's my strong desire to give back to the community that I'm very proud to call home. And hopefully that can be in a way that can make positive change for the community.
Okay, thank you. The second question, we'll start with Jim Bayer. What is your educational and employment background, as well as any previous experience in political office and other qualifications or experience that might serve you well in this office?
My educational background, I have a bachelor's degree in medical and healthcare management. I got that a couple years back. I'm currently working as a customer service manager with Process Foods. I'm currently working in Kingsport, but going to be transferring over to Weber City. I have strong management skills. I listen to my people that I work with, try to solve issues as they come up. As I've been running for office, I've also listened to the citizens of Mount Carmel and address a lot of their concerns, and I'll be addressing those as well as when I become alderman.
Okay. Mr. Traylor, what is your educational and employment background, as well as any previous experience in political office and other qualifications or experience that might serve you well in this office?
Well, I graduated from Bear Creek High School in Lakewood, Colorado in 1980. My background has been that of service to others my entire life. I have over 30 years in 911 public safety dispatch experience, as well as firefighting and EMS experience. After moving to Florida from Colorado in late 1999, I spent 6.5 years as a project manager and a software trainer for a large public safety computer and software systems company. In 2006, I returned to my passion for 911, where I was a public safety dispatcher until my retirement in 2019. Although I do not have any political experience, I have worked in public safety for municipal governments for some time, and I understand how government works along with the budgeting process, grants process, and I've held leadership roles in the public safety environment as well as the corporate environment. So I feel these experiences would serve me very well in this office.
Okay, thank you. And Mrs. Mock, what is your educational and employment background, as well as any previous experience in political office and other qualifications or experience that might serve you well in this office?
I attended ETSU and Northeast State Community College, and I have previously served as an alderman for 8 years.
All right, the third question, we will start with Mr. Traylor. What are the most important issues facing Mount Carmel, and what are your top priorities if elected?
Well, I think the first priority is attracting new business to the town. We need to develop a tax incentive plan that would attract new businesses to want to open in Mount Carmel. This plan should also include tax incentives that would make it attractive for existing businesses to want to stay in Mount Carmel. City leaders need to be proactive in contacting businesses and explaining what the city has to offer, and lead them into looking to Mount Carmel to grow their business. We also need to continue a beautification plan to make our Main Street desirable to the thousands of people who travel down 11W daily, as well as Main Street. Let's continue to highlight the beautiful signs that mark the entrance to the city on each end of 11W, as they already are now, but let's continue to just keep that presence up and make it attractive for new businesses and people that are coming through the area. I also feel strongly about the city's support of the Mount Carmel Senior Center. Although the doors of the Senior Center have been closed since March, services and resources are still being provided to our community. The staff at the Senior Center have been working very hard to make sure that they can maintain the provision of these services. Recently, city leaders passed an ordinance that drastically reduced the amount of funding assistance and included a contingency that the doors of the facility itself would need to remain open during the month that funding would be received. A couple of incumbent aldermen also have made statements. The city contribution to the Mount Carmel Senior Center is a waste of taxpayer money. The 2019 census data from the United States Census Bureau indicates the percentage of residents 65 and older in Mount Carmel is 16.3%. This segment, in my opinion, as well, and especially our military veterans, is the backbone of this community. They are the people who made Mount Carmel what it is today. A number of our community members, our senior community members, have lived most of, if not their entire lives, in the city of Mount Carmel, and have been faithful taxpayers to the city of Mount Carmel for a very long time. The ordinance that was recently passed has essentially allowed city leaders to turn its back on this segment of our community. And I feel that that's not a very good way of the city showing commitments to its community members. Where fiscally possible, I feel the city should look at a way to continue an appropriate contribution to the senior center so that it can continue to be a vital resource to our community members. I also feel that there should be continued support of parks and recreation and youth activity and sporting events for use of our beautiful city park. We should support leagues from across the region and encourage tournaments and games be hosted at our city park, bringing in money and sales tax revenue into our community. City leaders need to continue strong support of the police and fire departments. And also, where fiscally possible, ensure that they have the proper personal protective equipment and tools to be able to continue providing vital public safety services to the community. We need to also continue showing our support to all of the city employees and staff by providing a safe and harassment-free work environment, and also, where fiscally possible, allowing for a decent wage scale that is based on established performance standards.
Okay, Mrs. Mock, what are the most important issues facing Mount Carmel, and what are your top priorities if elected?
It's my understanding that a lot of work's going to have to be done at the sewer plant, and that will have to come first. If we don't take care of things there, the state comes in and tells us what we have to do, so that's important. And I would like to see us be able to pave some roads. We have grass growing in ours in Ponderosa.
Okay. And Mr. Baer, what are the most important issues facing Mount Carmel, and what are your top priorities if elected?
I would have to piggyback off of Mr. Traylor. My top priorities is the Senior Citizen Center. like he said, you know, the seniors has been here. I look at it this way: they took care of us as we was growing up. We need to give back to them in their elder years and give them some enjoyment. With the Senior Citizen Center, I don't agree with the budget cuts that's happened over the last 3 budgets that they have cut the Senior Citizen Center. I want to also have the youth involved, bringing in Boys and Girls Club at the Old Food City building. I heard one of the mayor candidates last night saying that the building was in bad repair. And yes, it is, but we have a code enforcement officer for a reason. He needs to enforce those codes and bring that building back up to code so it can be used for businesses. If the owner at that business doesn't want to do that, then he needs to forfeit the property so we can take and use it for the best of Mount Carmel. We do need to bring in new businesses. I agree with that 100%. We need more tax base. As far as the parks, our Mount Carmel Park is a good sized park. It's not ADA compatible with some areas. The basketball court section over there you can't even get up to it if you're on crutches or a wheelchair. And the surface is horrible. If you want to bring in games and things like that for the youth, then we need to fix those things. And that's some of my top priorities and things that I think Mount Carmel should work on.
Before we go on to the next question, I do want to just say one more time that we're welcoming questions in the comments from anyone that might be watching. We'll try to answer them. They need to be just generic questions that any of the candidates could answer. Okay, so the 4th question is, and we'll start with Mrs. Mock. What would you like to accomplish on the Board of Mayor and Alderman in the next 4 years?
Well, I started the planting of the trees and the bushes, and I would like to continue to do that. I took my own funds that I would get each month and buy the flowers and the trees, and I agree with Gary. What the people see as they pass by on the highway is that little stretch of grass and the flowers and trees, and if we have an attractive appearance, to me that would make people want to come across the highway and see what's on the other side.
Okay. And next is Mr. Bayer. What would you like to accomplish on the Board of Mayor and Alderman in the next 4 years?
I want to see businesses come into Mount Carmel. Like I said before, Boys and Girls Club in the Old Food City building. Yes, beautification of the town is wonderful, but if you're looking at the Old Food City building being dilapidated and not being used, that's an eyesore on Main Street. I don't care how much flowers you put out or how many trees you put out. If we don't have businesses in this on Main Street, it's not going to look too well for the town. So I like to bring in more businesses.
And Mr. Traylor, what would you like to accomplish on the Board of Mayor and Alderman in the next 4 years?
I absolutely agree with the things that have been mentioned, but personally, just giving back to my community by involvement in positive business growth and economic growth that could allow the town itself to improve upon existing services and possibly, hopefully, growing in employee strength and services provided.
All right, the next question, we'll start with Mr. Bayer. Are you the best candidate for this office? If so, why?
I do believe I am the best candidate for this office. The citizens of Mount Carmel needs to be heard, and I'll be one of those candidates and aldermen that will listen to the citizens of Mount Carmel. I know when I've attended board meetings and things like that, the citizens can bring complaints to the board that's supposed to be coming up on the next agenda, the next month's meeting, and nothing's brought up. I personally have contacted some of the aldermen and yet got a response. I would not be one of those aldermen. If you call me, text me, email me, you will get a response. If I'm sitting here on the board and you come to the board meeting and you have an agenda, your agenda will be brought up at the next board meeting.
And Mr. Traylor, are you the best candidate for this office? If so, why?
Thank you. I feel that I'm a great candidate for this office based on my experience in public service and a strong working knowledge of municipal government operations.
And Mrs. Mock, are you the best candidate for this office? If so, why?
I put years of service into the town. I was over the block party, the fall festival, the Easter egg hunt for years and years. I was the one who had a fence built. We used to have rusty fencing there, and I was scared to death to touch it to hang up the signs for the block party. So the town had purchased the brick, and we went and asked them if we could collect money to build the fence, if they would help us, you know, if we ran out of funds. The people in this town did build the fence. Food City was kind enough to let us use their building to hold a yard sale, and I couldn't believe the amount of stuff that we got and what we raised to start the fence. So I would like to think, because of my years of dedication, that people would look favorably on that.
And now, while Emily is sorting through the questions that have come over, I wanted to see if I could interject one question, and it's completely voluntarily if you want to answer or not. As a former Mount Carmel resident and person who spends a lot of time in town, especially dealing with local government, I was wondering if each candidate would like to express their opinion on the possibility of, depending on the outcome of this election, whether or not there will be a move to change back to a strong mayor form of government versus the current city administrator form of government. If that, you know, depending on the outcome of the election, that may be an issue again. So I guess if we want to just go in line, if anybody wanted to address that, their opinion on that.
I'm glad you can say.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely feel the strong mayor form of government is not appropriate. We have a good structure in place now. We have a fantastic city manager who has been doing a terrific job for the city. And the board of mayor and aldermen should basically just be, just oversee the operations of the city and trust that span of control that the city manager has. The city manager being overall in charge of the department managers, and the span of control that the board of mayor and aldermen has is just basically coming through that city manager position. So I believe that the strong mayor form of government is definitely not appropriate.
Okay. Does anybody else want to touch on that?
I'm in agreement with Mr. Chitler. I don't agree with the manager overseeing the town. I have lived here pretty much all my life, and I have seen both forms of government. The mayor running the office and then a city administrator running the office. I think the city administrator is the best solution for that, and let him continue doing his job. He's done a wonderful job, in my opinion. Why change it?
I agree with them. After past experiences, I think we need to stay the way we are.
Okay. All right. Emily?
Okay. We did get a couple of questions in the comments, so it's completely voluntary. Like Jeff said, if you want to answer, just raise your hand and we'll just go around if you want to. If you want to decline, you don't have to answer either. One of the questions was, what is your position with raising taxes, and what would constitute a tax increase?
I'll take that one. I do not approve of tax increase. Citizens of Mount Carmel paying to the max already for property taxes and county taxes. That's why we need to bring in new businesses to offset the tax cost.
And I also agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. And some of my opinions that I feel the city would strongly benefit from in terms of, as I mentioned, tax incentives. Tax incentives could look something like for business owners or property owners, allowing X% of a tax relief on property taxes for X period of time if they agree to keep their business or actually to start a new business in the city of Mount Carmel. For existing business owners and business entrepreneurs, possibly the same thing. If they're in a space where they rent space, possibly X percentage of break or relief on the personal property tax. Something that would allow them to want to stay in Mount Carmel. So I definitely believe that with those incentives in place and with city leaders actually recruiting and going out and looking and enticing and inviting businesses to come into Mount Carmel, I feel that that will definitely offset any need for any tax increases.
I can't say that that's possible. We had to raise taxes one time when I was serving the 8 years, and it's devastating to do that. I prayed and prayed about it. You know that there are people in this town who do not have any extra money, and it really hurts, but we do not control the future. You cannot say you won't raise taxes.
Okay, and we had another question that came in. Why is it important for you to be an alderman, and what will you do for our town?
And what will you do?
What will you do for our town? I guess the biggest one is, why is it important for you to be an alderman?
I think the people that are sitting here with me are truly interested in the town and will make excellent aldermen. Everything that we do is limited by the amount of money that we take in. We are limited by the number of businesses that we have. But I would like to strongly urge people, like the man from Blimpie said, we better be using the businesses that we have. My husband, an example is, he goes to one gas station, gets gas, and then goes to the other. How many people in this town are making a point of using the gas stations here in this town? We have the Potter Shed. He makes beautiful arrangements. I have him do decorations for my table, for my door, wreaths for my door. Are we using that? Or people running up to Hobby Lobby and Michael's? That man who had Blimpies, business took over there, Patterson's Grill. How many people in this town ate there? They knew my husband's voice. I would like to ask, did you go there?
I did not.
Did you? You may not have even been here in town. They're gone. They came over here from Norton. They had excellent food, Full Belly Restaurant. Did you go there?
I've been there. It's
Good.
a very good restaurant, yes.
Have you?
I have, yes.
Okay, the gas company, I mean, we pushed it. We pushed it because we knew that their chance of survival where they're located was slim. They are leaving. They're going to go to Kingsport. They'll still be in Hawkins County. But people need to realize you have to support what you have in this town to keep what little bit of tax money we have. And we can't force businesses to come here. We cannot. But if we make ourselves more attractive to them, if the businesses we have here survive, then they'll be looking at us as a possible place to locate.
I'd also like to speak to that as well. And, you know, again, in my opinion, that where at all possible, the tax incentives, I think, for the new businesses to come in and the existing businesses to want to stay. It actually breaks my heart to hear that Full Belly Restaurant is leaving, because my wife and I enjoyed that very much. So again, with any possibility of tax incentives or tax relief, but the reason that I really want to be an alderman for the city of Mount Carmel is, again, just my servant heart. I have spent my entire life in service to others, and this is just a way that I found that I could be able to give back to my community. And again, as I said at the top, you know, hopefully in a positive way. And what I would like to do directly for the community members is just to engage local government with the community members more. One of the mayoral candidates the other night mentioned more activities along Main Street. I absolutely agree with it. I agree with the ability for city leaders to engage with and allow community members to engage with them. I think that's very important and will show that the city leaders are actually in support of the community members.
My position on that is it's for the people. I'm not here for the money. I'm not here for the title. And I'm not here for all the glory and hip and hop about it. I'm actually just here for the people.
Okay. Let's see. Another question that came through, how do you feel about buying our own trash truck and taking responsibility of our own trash pickup? Right now it's contracted out.
I would be interested in addressing that. First of all, I think just basics of the fact that there would be one piece of apparatus to be able to perform that function. We are contracted with the City of Kingsport, and I believe the figure, I can't remember the actual monthly figure off the top of my head. However, we do have to take into consideration maintenance costs for that single vehicle, staffing for that single vehicle, and if anything happens to that vehicle, then of course the city would be placed into quite a lurch. Now, possible solutions to that could be is phasing that city vehicle in, or that new vehicle in, continuing to contract with Kingsport for the percentage of time that we can give the city vehicle a rest, and just maintain mileage on it. The maintenance expense is something else that we're going to have to take a look at from a budgetary perspective. But I believe that a single trash truck vehicle would not be appropriate for the city of Mount Carmel at this point, would not be sufficient to maintain that level of service.
I agree with Gary. I'm happy with the service I get from Kingsport.
My point on that would be that, we're having a hard enough time to keeping up with the services that we have. The brush pickup, the litter pickup, things like that. I know I've had some issues with having brush picked up at my residence. And I've heard from my constituents that I have talked to in several subdivisions that they're also having that same issue. If we cannot keep our brush and stuff picked up, how are they going to expect us to keep the trash picked up in a timely manner? Also with the issue with the trucks, we can't afford the cost of the trucks and the maintenance and the personnel to handle that. I think we need to renegotiate the price with Kingsport for the trash pickup at this point.
And I'm not seeing any other questions.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, as we wrap up, I just want to give everybody an opportunity to have a closing statement. Anything you want to say on any topic? If there's a topic that wasn't brought up tonight that's close to your heart or what you're running on, this is an opportunity to say anything you want to say. And I guess we can just go from left to right and start with Mrs. Mock.
I would be proud to serve with Gary and Jim Bear.
Okay.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the City of Mount Carmel for this opportunity, for facilitating and hosting this opportunity. And Mr. Bobo, I really want to thank you for facilitating it as well. And again, I just have a servant's heart. I just want to be able to give back to my community in a way that can be positive.
I think the three candidates are sitting here, Teresa and Gary and myself. I think we'll be the three candidates that would be best for Mount Carmel come election day. For early elections, it's already starting in November 3rd to fill the 3 seats that is available. I wouldn't mind serving with both of them. Like I said, I'm here for the people of Mount Carmel. I'm here to listen to them and bring their concerns to the board. There are several concerns that I've listened to from my constituents that I want to bring to the board. I'm the one that's going to be listening to you and taking care of you. Seems like my end of Mount Carmel, which is Rest Ridge and Independence, is being ignored. Their voices is not being heard on Board of Mayor and Alderman, and I would love for their votes to make their concerns known.
Okay. If that's everything that everybody wants to say, we made it exactly 30 minutes. So I will go ahead and sign off then, in case unless anybody has anything else to add. Are we all good? We're happy? Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and sign off then. Thank you for watching.